The voice of Husker Nation is on the air. This is Hail Varsity Radio. Insight, opinion, expertise, along with the biggest names talking Nebraska sports. Join in with the show at 402-489-1240 or 1-800-825-5865. Now, here are your hosts, Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel.
Great to have you in. You made it. It's Friday. It's Hail Varsity Radio. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, Justice Rhody. A lot going on. Nebraska basketball, Nebraska volleyball, and maybe an ice skating rink to deal with. Great to be with you. 489-1240 to get in here on Hail Varsity Radio. 800-825-5865. Can dial up, can find us and comment, participate either on the phone via email, chris@hailvarsity.com, or jump in on the stream, Hail Varsity YouTube. Like and subscribe there. Way for you to watch the show, Hail Varsity Radio, Twitter @HVarsity Radio. We'll get our starting five shout-outs. Where could Borkature land? Some SEC teams pursuing him. Is there more to it? A couple of weeks removed. I know there's so much out there in the stratosphere on social media when it comes to Matt Rhule and Tony White. And you know what? We'll examine a little bit. Any tea leaves to read with that? A little more commentary from Coach Rhule and John Butler yesterday. We'll hear from the mayor, Fred Hoiberg, as it is imperative Husker basketball responds tonight. Don't want to go 0-2 in league play. And plenty to get to. We're loaded up today. We'll spend time with Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7 Sports, in about 15 minutes. Jacob Padilla from Hail Varsity and Hurrdat Sports. Get a hoops and volleyball preview with him. The Pride of Fairbury back with us, Bill Doleman, at 5 tonight. And then the voice of Husker Volleyball. We love him. You do too. It's John Baylor at 5:25. We will run down the man who's imaginary and wears red, Clausburn, and the Friday forecast coming up at 5:40. How you guys feeling? Both of you gearing up for a couple of big-time events. Not often that there's two things going on, Husker-related. You've had your occasional spring game baseball doubleheader. You've had your moments of football and volleyball double dipping, but volleyball's working their way to the Final Four again. Death taxes in the Final Four for John Cook. And, oh, yeah, you get a national broadcast in the world of college basketball tonight. Fox is going to be putting Nebraska, Indiana on. It should be all right. What you guys know? How you been?
Good. It's ready for the weekend because it's going to be a good sports weekend. I mean, you kind of laid out the Husker events tonight. Who doesn't love America's game with Army and Navy? That is one of my favorite matchups of the year because everything we talk about with portal and NIL and guys only caring about themselves.
There's no portal in the military.
Exactly. So I love that game. And then the offenses are just so old school in that game where each team's going to run the ball probably 40 times tomorrow. They're going to run the clock, play ball control. Army's offense a little bit more high flying this year than we've come to expect. So that should be a good one. And then my Broncos have a big game on Sunday against the Colts. Winner has essentially firm control over a wild card place for this year's postseason. So that's a big one too. So basically looking forward to the weekend.
Justice, what are you doing, man?
Oh, nothing much. Just getting ready, finishing up a lot of my schoolwork. Got one final left, so just knocking all that stuff out. Excited to head over to basketball tonight. My buddy's saving me a seat. Just gotta,
student section.
Yep.
You just gonna crash in there and say, part the Red Sea for Big Red?
No, they just have a nice little spot on the front row. I'll be right behind the Nebraska bench. It'll be a good deal, and we'll get that. Maybe indulge in a couple of the Pinnacle Bank Arena adult beverages. So.
Good work. How nice is that to say out loud? Yeah, I'm gonna have a beer at the game. I'm gonna have several beers at the game.
Yeah. What usually whenever you say that, you got to keep it real quiet.
Hey,
guess what I got?
Reach into your sock again and pull out the flask. Kelly Pfeiffer, we got to go there. Good thing, bad thing tonight. Is it a ref show tonight? Is it a ref show carryover?
Not with the problem solver.
Is it a ref show carryover from Sparty? And I asked that. Nebraska's 23-1 in their last 24 Big Ten games. It's been several hundred days since Nebraska's lost at home to a conference opponent. Indiana's pretty good, super talented. Fellas, they always underachieve. Now, maybe this is too soon to be giving them bulletin board material or too late in the day. Whatever. I don't think Coach Woodson's listening to us. All that being said, Indiana they're elite enough talent-wise, roster-wise, that they should be like Bob Knight, Indiana, as far as how deep and far they go into the tournament, not just struggling to make it or just being on the outside looking in.
Last year, they were objectively bad.
Well, but they shouldn't have been.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I say bad. Were they a bad basketball team? Compared to Indiana standards, yes, they were bad.
Well, their basketball has mirrored Nebraska football, where it's the brand, it's got reverence, it's got that backdrop of blue blood,
recruiting rankings that
yes
exceed the level of play on the court every single year. It feels like
yes, and what happens? Indiana has 5 to 7 dudes that just don't really get along ever.
No, and it's like, look at the way they were. They were bottom 50 last year in 3-point percentage. They didn't bring in any guys who were over a career 34% from three. So the fit was never going to be great. And then they get a center in the transfer portal, and Umar Ballo, who hasn't attempted a three in his career. He's not going to space the floor. A lot of their perimeter concerns came from the fact that none of their wings could shoot. Mackenzie Mbako's having a nice season. He'll be a lottery pick, but outside of that, you look at the roster and you go, where is the shooting coming from, and how are they going to score if the big guys can't get it going? And we know Fred Hoiberg's game plan. The first guy that's going to get taken away is the big man in the middle.
Well, and Nebraska's going to send their waves of big dudes, assuming Burke's a little bit healthier than he was. So, yet it is turn the page to basketball. But we'll spend a moment or two, fellas, on football. And Nate Borkature has bags full of money to look at theoretically. When you look at a guy that's entered into the portal, there was some postings last night that he may be reconsidering. I didn't see or hear that officially or with some of our sources, but we know this. We know that there's a Nebraska connection at A&M. We know there's a Nebraska connection at Florida State. And we know Alabama is not afraid to go look at guys that have a ton of experience. And if you're Borkature, dude, great family, phenomenal ball player that's been underutilized. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just that's the here and now of it. It's not that he wouldn't be utilized here, but why not go get paid and walk into a potentially better situation? It's more unknown here.
Yeah. And you look at with the addition of Harburg, likely pretty full tight end room next year.
That's Snaps. That's Lindenmeyer. You still have Fedoni here.
You also look at a Holgerson offense, and you don't necessarily think of your traditional tight end being a guy who's really going to go shine in an offense.
It's not Iowa's offense.
Exactly. So I look at that, and then I look at the fact that he's got 1 year left to play, and I know he's a guy that's got aspirations to go play at the next level. And you got to ask yourself, I think at this time, is my best chance to go make the NFL at Nebraska, or do I go somewhere that's maybe got less competition in a tight end room? And while I'm at it, I can also put a big chunk down on my 401k because they're going to pay me some money to come and play football for them. You got that the two sides of the Nebraska kid that always wanted to play for Nebraska, that got the chance to play for Nebraska. That's a tough decision to go. I haven't heard that he is reconsidering coming back to Nebraska. That it is not something I have heard this week. I could be wrong on that, but had to have been a tough decision for him. So you wish him the best. You hope he finds a landing spot that not only helps him take care of that 401k, but also gives him an opportunity at the next level.
I want to hear his name in late April.
I think he's got that kind of potential. I mean, he's been what are we at now? Is that 4 consecutive years of seeing Borkature on the field and be like, I like that guy. I wonder when he's going to get some more playing time. Look at him get open.
Yeah. And look at him run after the catch.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. What do you guys believe with Rhule and Tony White is and Rhule touched on it with be careful about the chaos around football. And we're not stirring a meth lab up to go boom. I'm just asking out loud with the Tony White to Florida State. And I know that's old news, but is there more to it than a guy just wanting to get back home to Florida? I think at its base, it is a guy wanting to get back home to Florida that you probably projected, man, we were lucky to keep him a second year. So this was going to be happening. You've elevated John Butler. And I just kind of go back, and we were so loaded up yesterday. We can get to all of Rhule and Butler's comments, but this is specifically what I want to hear from Coach Rhule. And it goes down to I think it was cut 5 here, where you have a situation with where Nebraska wants to go, right? And where they want to go is, well, be way better on offense. But defensively, the nitpicky part was, what'd you do on third down? What'd you do about getting after the quarterback? And, are you able to stop the run? Here's Coach Rhule from yesterday.
We have to make a major jump offensively. There's no doubt, right? And so I believe we kind of in some ways have done some of that this month. I think we'll go into the bowl. The bowl's a little different now because, your rosters really turn over and change going into the bowl. But really, it's this recruiting class we just brought in, plus the guys coming back, plus the portal additions that we make heading into the summer, and then the growth that we make. The days of, this is basically, it's basically, if we're being honest, 365 days a year free agency with the power in the players' hands. And so, which is what it is, right? So I thought having an offensive guy in Dana that can adjust to that, where it's not, hey, it takes you 2 years to learn our system, while still building a system that prepares guys for the NFL. That's why I feel great about what Dana can do. So no amount of turnover right now scares me, and no amount of additions scare me because I have a guy that can do that. And I think that's highly critical. What I will say though is when you watch a lot of those, you're watching the Georgias of the world and all them, like it's 45-28 in September and October. You watch the games down the stretch, save the Big Ten championship game. You have to play defense too. And so, we have to take a step on defense to play championship caliber defense. We also have to take 2 steps on offense to get to where we want to get to.
So it goes back to him saying we took a step back on defense, right? And can you get pressure? Can you get off the field on third down? And that, if we're going to be critical for a moment, that was Nebraska's problem against some of the better teams, was getting off the field on third down. Sometimes tackling was hit or miss. But above all, the only reason you have as many wins as you do in this new era is because your defense. There's 0 games the offense went out and won a football game. There's minimal times. Special teams was the difference. You had 2 phases of the football game stacked against you on your own side of the ball, let alone what everyone else was going to do to you. So I don't think there's too much innuendo to read. I think he's just being real honest. Listen, if you want Nebraska to be a team that's in that upper part of the Big Ten, you got to be better on defense, as good as they were. And the defense did drop a little bit. I agree with that. They weren't what they were, but they were still the best part of your football team.
Yeah, and I think, as you've kind of alluded to, some fans have heard that quote and thought it was
it a shot at Tony?
It's a shot at Tony. Rhule forced Tony out the door. I think in most cases where there's 2 extremes, the truth probably lies somewhere in between, where they have the one side that is, it's sky is falling, Tony White's out the door, and that reaction has changed a little bit. That's where you start out is, sky is falling, Tony White's out the door. He was the best coordinator, the best coach on this football team, and now he's gone. The other side being, well, Matt Rhule took a parting shot at Tony White when he went off to Florida State. Therefore, Matt Rhule must have forced Tony White out the door. The truth is probably somewhere in between, where my read on it is Matt Rhule probably doesn't like to lose Tony, but has accepted that
it was going to happen. It was going to have a contingency.
It was going to happen. Let's have a contingency plan. Let's be ready. They have gone for the contingency plan. I don't think they probably worked too hard and offered some big salary thing at Tony White because they had the next guy in place and they were ready to make a change whenever that change was going to come.
Well, and just go back to your emotions after UCLA. Okay.
Or after Indiana.
Yeah. Nothing went right. Nothing went right against Indiana. What was the game plan like? They looked absolutely a 180 from what they had been against Colorado. And that's credit to Indiana. But UCLA came out and just did whatever the hell they wanted. Talking 12 minutes, first quarter of football, time of possession. And there's no way. Every third down, 3rd and 6 conversion, 3rd and 8 conversion.
3rd and manageable.
Yeah.
Easy money.
And even if it's not management, they got 17 on a dig route, 1st and 10. So there it is. Let's get our starting 5 shout-outs here. Tiger Shark Diver in first across the finish line. Jay is second. Jeff, good to have you in at third. NASCAR Eric 4, as it is Mike Corgan. Orange Whip, 3 orange whips. Little Blues Brothers quote. Love it, Mike. Arlo Jr. is here. Mr. Erickson in from the Dakotas. Cliff saying hello. Brian Snitley is in, part of the Boulder Peace Treaty. Wins across the board tonight in Lincoln. I think it needs to be so if we're shaking the magic 8 ball, Mr. Snitley. Andrew is here. Scott is in, along with Great Red Shark. Scott is here. Uncle Larry checks in. Coach Brandon is here. We'll get to more of your comments. We'll hear from Fred Hoiberg as well, too, because, fellas, as we go from football to basketball, the urgency very thick in the mayor's voice on Wednesday, and it should be. He's still PO'd about Michigan State. Not the fact that they beat you by 37, but just a team this old, this experienced, with this many miles on them, should never fold. And it is a turning point moment tonight. We'll say hi to Brian Christopherson next with us here on Hail Varsity.
Where's the perfect place to go for lunch every day?
Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
Where can you watch all of your favorite college and professional sports all season long?
Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
Who's got family-friendly entertainment all throughout the week, including trivia, music bingo, and live music every Friday?
Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
Hurrdat Sports Bar in La Vista is the spot for lunch, date night, corporate events, or even a late-night cocktail. A one-of-a-kind spot for sports fans and more. Behind Cabela's in La Vista.
Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
Hello, neighbor from Super C Convenience Stores, asking for your help to support the Heartland Cancer Foundation. HCF provides practical and immediate financial assistance to eligible cancer patients in our communities. Between December 9th and 15th, Super C will 100% match your donation to help local cancer patients with everyday expenses. We're asking you to please say yes to a $1 donation so those battling cancer in our communities can focus on what matters: healing. Super C, always happy to help.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-3128. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-3128. That's 800-575-3128. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
When it's not gardening weather, it's actually a great time to be thinking and planning for it. Hi, this is Chris Goforth. Join me and the experts from Earl May every Saturday at 8:30 to learn the tips and tricks to prepare for the next season. In the Garden with Earl May, Saturday mornings at 8:30, right here on KFOR.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Listen to this station anytime.
And now,
back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Well, the sexy Grinch is in. Formerly Crew in the Stream says happy Friday. Started drinking already. Go Huskers. See you at PBA. QB1 Ace is in. Stank Neuter. Wrestling Oranges. You had some insinuation about Tony White and criticism. We have Ed Johnson in. Let's get some dubs. Basketball, volleyball, and going to be on top of things. As always, Brian Christopherson with us. Husker 24/7 Sports. And BC, a double dip tonight, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. We got a lot on our plate. So hopefully we have the appetite for it. I do, I think.
I know. And you're gearing up. I want to start with hoops before football. And level of urgency you noticed with Fred this week, and the magnitude of tonight versus Indiana for this basketball team.
Well, before the season started, when you looked at the schedule, to have a sort of a happy Christmas where you're feeling good about yourself when you're on the island and trying to do work there, I felt like there's these two different weeks. There was the St. Mary's Creighton week, and Nebraska needed to get a split there. And then there's this, December 2-game dance that the league makes everyone do, and you need a split there because it's just really hard to sit on an 0-2 conference record for a full month before you play in league, a league game on January 4th again. So I think just for like confidence and for everybody's like, all right, it's on track. This mission is going how we planned. I think this is a huge game in that respect. And I kind of connecting those 2 weeks that I mentioned together, I think we saw when Nebraska lost to St. Mary's when they came back against Creighton, you did see that urgency in how they played defense. And just like every 50-50 ball, Nebraska wanted to make theirs. And so I think they really need to set a tone, before that first media timeout tonight, that it's going to be that kind of game by the Huskers and PBA. The kind of game we're familiar with this team lately, going back into last season, playing at home. Hopefully they bring that.
It's Brian Christopherson with us here, Hail Varsity Radio. And Brian, one of the things that Juwan Gary and Bryce Williams both talked about on Wednesday was the importance of rebounding. You got out rebounded by a lot against Michigan State, and they both kind of mentioned the fact that if you don't win the rebounding battle, you don't tend to win in the Big Ten. Which guys do you look at tonight as really needing to step up on the glass and get Nebraska that rebounding advantage?
Yeah, I mean, it was embarrassing. It was 48-19 was the count against Michigan State. And, that's embarrassing at any level. But you look at Nebraska's roster, and I know Berke had limited minutes and all that stuff, but that's just unacceptable when you've got the size and length that Nebraska does. They think they can be a team that on any given night in this league can match teams in rebounding. So, it's got to be a want to. It's got to be that mindset that like you have from the beginning. And to your question, I think it's going to be, when Braxton Mia is on the floor, maybe he only plays 15 minutes total in this game when it's all said and done, but they have to be 15 minutes where he gives every ounce that he has and is dead tired when he goes to the bench and gets subbed in for. So you need him to be big. Andrew Morgan, I thought, was like one of the bright spots on offense against Michigan State, but obviously he's got to be huge on the defensive end, and Berke too. I think you'll see his minutes go up a little bit. Hopefully he kind of picks up where he left off before the injury. So those are the guys that come to mind, but it's got to be everybody. I mean, obviously Gary is your junkyard dog, but it's got to be crashing the boards and guards wanting to get rebounds and all that stuff. And when Nebraska plays well, everybody's like involved in that. Like Sammy Hoiberg comes in and somehow gets his hand on a board. It's stuff like that's got to be in play tonight.
Brian Christopherson's with us, Husker 24/7 Sports. BC going to go to football here, and Nebraska's biggest addition on the coaching staff is who?
If we're counting him still as an addition and it's fresh enough, it's Dana Holgerson.
Okay.
Maybe you're looking for him.
That's more recent. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be. I'm really excited about the guy they haven't announced yet, who's the D-line coach, Terry Braden.
Yeah.
So maybe that's too recent. Maybe I'm now jumping ahead in time. It's going playing some Quantum Leap games on you, but outdated reference.
I got it.
Scott Bakula there.
Yep.
You're in my age range. Yeah, I think you heard Matt Rhule. I kind of said, I know it's not official, but what are you looking for in a D-line coach? And I thought he was actually really interesting as he talked about how he spoke to the Chiefs head D-line coach, and Braden is the assistant D-line coach. And I talked to DiCaprio Boodle, who was on that roster, and I know it was a different position group, but he was struck by like what a presence Terry Braden had behind the scenes, like just with the players at different position groups. And he was not just like some background meek voice, like in that, operation, even though he was an assistant D-line coach. So I think Rhule did his due diligence there, got some good advice on, okay, who's the next guy who's coming up, who's going to be, somebody you want to have and build around. And I think he thinks they found a home run in Braden. So obviously John Butler and what he does going forward is going to be the big story. And we've got like 8 months to get into that. But as far as like, position group guys, I'm excited about that D-line hire. And I mean, obviously Phil Simpson's going to be a big deal with the Miami kids, but I think people are going to like Braden from everything I've heard about when that becomes official.
And there's been a clear focus this offseason, Brian, in both the Kansas City area with recruiting, because you bring in Mosey, you bring in Braden, you bring in Simpson for the South Florida Miami connection. There's still defensive backs coach to be named that I think is probably going to have a connection to that South Florida area. Yep. Which of those two areas do you think has the better nickname? I've seen Dawson Merritt throw around Kansas City Huskers, which leaves a little bit to be desired. With Florida, you have the obvious Flora-Braska answer, harkening back to the Calabrasca days of old.
See, no one wants to go back there.
No one wants to go back there. That's why I'm asking
years
the question.
Off our live covering.
Or do you have better ideas for a nickname, Brian?
No, I don't offhand. I'll think about it, and next week. Can I do that as like a homework assignment? If you give me a week, I'll work hard on it. But I will say this: I think we're already seeing, as much as we talk about with like high school kids, when they're picking it's like pick your school, not just on a relationship with the coach, because coaches are going to change. That always gets said. But I think in the portal era, you see how big a deal it is to have those Jamar Moseys, those Phil Simpsons. You're already seeing it with Mosey, with the number 7 player in the class from 24/7 Sports and Williams Nawari. Coming in number 6 actually, right ahead of Raiola with 7, and that's a connection that is goes back to Mosey, and he's got a lot more of them. So I think Nebraska, we've for a long time kind of complained about why can't the Huskers get into KC. I think there were some people, who tried to kick the tires on that, like Ryan Held and Bill Bush and some coaches like that. But it's just a whole different animal now with Mosey and just how well respected he is there. And I think you're seeing that play out in the portal, and I think it's going to continue where you're going to see guys who maybe they went somewhere else first, but they have a connection to this one guy that they really liked in their region when they were coming up as a high schooler, and they knew him when he was 16 years old, and that guy was really good to him. That's going to pay dividends for Nebraska right now. And I think it's part of the reason why you heard yesterday Matt Rhule was like, he's not like frustrated by this month. Like I think he sees opportunity. He thinks Nebraska's got the goods to go head to head with some people with finances, and I think he thinks they have the goods with some relationships too, and we saw one yesterday, and I think you'll see a few more of those before it's over.
Brian, with the Miami connection specifically, what do you attribute the hit rate to? Because Nebraska's hit rate last season in Miami, when you look at Vincent Shavers, Amari Sanders, Willis McGahee, Larry Tarver, I know Sanders and Tarver are both biding their time a little bit, but it sounds like the coaching staff likes what they have in those guys. Barney was huge as well. Combine that when Shavers and Willis McGahee, you saw those guys pop. What do you attribute that recruiting hit rate there to? Because it really feels like Nebraska is going to continue trying to work that pipeline.
Yeah, I just think Nebraska had the staffers who knew kids beyond just like a surface view of like, oh, this is his star ranking or this is his huddle tape. Like that's where it makes such a difference when you have a Simpson, and let's face it, at that time, like an Evan Cooper, who sees, or he just has more links to that area where you can get more insights on particular kids than just like, oh, I popped into the Miami airport, did the rounds, and I'm out of there. Like it's deeper than that. And so Nebraska, I think, really did their homework, and that's why they're hitting such a strong percentage. And you're right to mention like Tarver and Sanders, Amari Sanders, because they were liked behind the scenes. And I'm not just talking by coaches; like players would talk up those guys and say they're real. So. That was really impressive, and hopefully they can keep it going. When it really started to be like, man, they're just like, this is incredible, like their average on these guys. It was like October when it hit me really hard with McGahee, and you were starting to see Willis like pop up every week where maybe he was only playing like 10 snaps or something, but he would either force a fumble or almost force a fumble, and it felt like almost a weekly occurrence. And obviously everyone was talking about Shavers more before that, but McGahee started to make me, okay, he's coming too now. And now he's got Phil Simpson like in the same room as him, basically. You really are excited about what he might be able to do.
We have Brian Christopherson with us, Hail Varsity Radio, Husker 24/7 Sports. We're going to wrap here, BC, and I'm going to ask Christmas movie, yes or no. Do you watch Goodfellas during the holiday season? Well, I mean, there's a lot of Christmas in Goodfellas.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I'm asking.
I would watch Goodfellas any month, actually. Goodfellas is in my top 5 favorite movies of all time. So if it's on TV, I see it, I'll hit on it. I still like that too. I know we live in an age where you're supposed to go on your streaming service and play a movie without commercials, but there is still something sort of magical about, oh, this is on TBS or whatever, and that's again
Always,
giving my age away. But it's like it's happening now, and it feels like it's a little gift that's been presented right to me that I can't pass up. So I've never actually heard the debate about Goodfellas being a Christmas movie, but there definitely are scenes with Christmas songs being played.
Yeah,
and I
Big
think
old
I
white
think if
tree. I mean,
if we're going to count Die Hard as a Christmas movie so easily, then Goodfellas has to at least be in consideration. And if we're going to talk about Die Hard, let's get into what football game the guy at the security desk in Nakatomi Plaza is watching, because supposedly this is like Christmas Eve or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so is he watching Notre Dame play USC in like the Aloha Bowl in a rematch of a game they just played a month prior, or is it a complete glitch in the script? I would say the latter. Mm-hmm. So I love Die Hard, but that's something to chew on, is what game is on. He's watching this game that he's got money on, and it doesn't make any sense with the time frame at all.
No, you are right. It's some bad hula bowl is probably what he's checking out.
Confirmed. Jack McTiernan, director, not a college football fan.
Okay, well, there we have it. BC, we'll check in soon. Appreciate your time, man.
All right, thanks, guys.
Get the best deals of the year on annual memberships, bundle packs, jet gloss, ceramic, and more. And then deal with the family drama. Shop now at jetsplash.com.
It's the holiday season, and I cannot wait to spend time with my family and friends, just catching up, watching football and stretching the elastic in my favorite sweatpants to within an inch of its life. Turkey's great, but my favorite part of the meal is the gravy. I ladle it over my turkey, mashed potatoes, even the stuffing. That's why I make sure we always have a big basket of warm Village Hearth dinner rolls to help soak up every drop. Baked locally, delivered fresh daily. Village Hearth dinner rolls are the natural choice for holiday meals.
David Brooks here, inviting you to join me this Saturday morning at 7 for the Retire Smart Radio Show, where I'll provide you answers to your retirement questions and help you navigate the uncertain financial times. Don't just retire, retire smart. Join me Saturday morning at 7.
Smart Wealth LLC is a federally registered investment advisor under the Investment Advisors Act of 1940 and an affiliate of Retire Smart. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. Information about Smart Wealth LLC can be found by visiting advisorinfo.sec.gov and searching by the advisor's name.
Hey there, you in aisle 2. I see you by the fiber and laxatives. You still using those to manage your constipation with belly pain? If your symptoms keep coming back, you may have irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C. So you may need more than over-the-counter treatments to manage it. Ask your doctor about how Linzess can help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LANZESS.
Get the hard truth from someone who's seen it from the inside. Hey,
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Jacob Padilla here with us, Hail Varsity Radio, and you can find Jacob, of course, at Jacob Padilla _ is where you follow him on Twitter. You read him with Hurrdat Sports, Hail Varsity as well. And Jacob, hoops and volleyball, my friend. Are you parked? Are you on the road? What's the weather, dude?
Yeah, I am on I-80 on the way from Omaha to Lincoln. So moving along all right now. Hopefully it doesn't get too bad.
Well, be safe. We appreciate you giving us a few minutes on the trip down. Level of shock. I'm going to just go off the board here. Creighton over Texas.
Not shocked. Somewhat surprised after the way the first set went.
Mm-hmm.
But then once they're able to kind of avoid that happening again in the second set, they settled in. They just had answers every time that Texas made a run. It's a really good team, and I think they've proved that over the long haul of the season. There's a reason. Like I think, I don't know. The odds have been all points favored to come out of there. I think flipped to Texas, but then went back to Creighton before. I don't know, depending on where you look. But it's a really good team. They're pretty well balanced. They've got an amazing setter who can do everything, and she's got a lot of weapons to set to. So no, I'm not shocked at all. I figured that honestly. I thought that would probably end up being a 5-set. Mm-hmm. Not the only shock is the fact that Creighton almost swept them, and they probably should have, but found a way to rally from losing the first set to take care of business. 2, 3, and 4.
Jacob Padilla is with us, Hail Varsity Radio. We'll get to some hoops thoughts, Nebraska, Indiana, in a moment. Jacob, are you concerned, or is it a formality for you that Nebraska is going to the Final Four?
No, definitely not a formality. They got to take care of Dayton tonight, and that's a really good team. Again, coming out of not exactly the same level of competition that Nebraska faced, but Dayton's top 10 in offense and top 10 in defense. And they've got a pin hitter who is averaging over 5 kills a set, which is absurd, particularly because she's 5'8". You shouldn't be able to be that effective, that efficient, hitting over 300 as a 5'8" outside hitter at Division I level. So kind of a unique player, unique team. It's going to be a challenge. And then obviously if Wisconsin takes care of business against Texas A&M, you got round 3 there. And this Wisconsin team is healthier than the last time Creighton saw them. So it's definitely not a foregone conclusion. Nebraska's going to earn it. But I certainly would feel confident that they have what it takes to get there.
It's Jacob Padilla with us here talking some Husker volleyball. We'll get to Husker basketball here in just a second. But Jacob, you talk about Wisconsin. Everyone obviously is kind of looking forward to that one. You laid it out. Dayton's not a foregone conclusion. That's a tough team. But if it is Nebraska and Wisconsin in the Elite Eight, do you have concerns about Nebraska's ability to go beat a team 3 times? I think you hear that a lot in football and in basketball. Hard to beat a team twice. Does that hold true in volleyball, in your opinion?
I mean, yeah. Well, even it's hard to beat a team 3 times in one game, and that's what you have to do to win. The score resets every single set. It doesn't matter how well you played the previous one. You got to go out and do it again. So it's not necessarily beating Wisconsin 3 times. It would be beating Wisconsin 9 out of 11 times. They have swept the last. So it really is point by point, game by game there, against the toughest competition in the country. But that being said, the previous 2 were sweet, and Nebraska had a really good game plan for Wisconsin both times. Like I said, they were missing some pieces last time, and that definitely impacted the match. I think passing in particular is an area where you can get to this Wisconsin team, and they were missing 2 of the players that factor into that passing equation. Those 2 are back, including their libero, so they'll be a little bit harder to exploit in that area, but that's still something that, whether it's Wisconsin or whoever they're going to face beyond that, if they get past the Badgers, it's something Nebraska's going to have to do at a really high level in order to go win it all. So they're going to have to be aggressive from the service line, aggressive and smart. Don't give away points, but don't let teams off the hook either. And they do that, I think they'll have a chance with how good their defense has been to, again, kind of lock in on Sarah Franklin and Anna Schmidt and take away Wisconsin's primary weapon.
Jacob, going to go to hoops tonight. Big one for Nebraska basketball. Got to get to 1-1 before Diamond Head, and you had kind of a wacky schedule. Indiana's coming to town. Nebraska's been pretty good in recent years against IU. Concerns tonight, confidence tonight. Where are you at on both sides of that fence for the Big Red?
I think I saw before I got in the car that Miles Rice ended up on the injury report for Indiana. If I'm not mistaken, that certainly is something to monitor because he's a big key to what they're trying to do, because that is kind of the one true perimeter creator that they have. It's a team that's obviously focused on playing inside out. We know what Mike Whitson likes to do, and while they have made some threes this year, they don't take a whole lot of them. It's a lot of pounding inside to Omar Ballo and Malik Renaud doing athletic things, and Mackenzie Mbako attacking from the perimeter and that sort of thing. So they're big and they're athletic. Nebraska is going to have to. It'll be interesting to see how Nebraska handles that. How much do we see them now with Berke, Buchengel kind of back close to full strength? How much do we see them try to match big with big versus how much do we see them downsize and try to have a Juwan Gary go around and match up with Malik Reneau as opposed to asking kind of bigger but not as quick Buchengel and whoever else, whatever other combination in the front court that you want to use. I doubt we're probably going to see a lot of the same double team schemes and against Follow that we saw against Kalkbrenner. So it's not like everybody's going to be guarding one-on-one the whole game, but I am curious to see what that matchup is going to be like and how Fred Hoiberg chooses to use his lineups to combat what Indiana's going to throw out there.
Jacob, about 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Millard North at North Star tomorrow. We'll have that here locally, but pretty big-time matchup on the high school ranks.
Schmidt wants his scouting report.
I do.
Millard North gotten off to a little bit of a slow start. They lost to WS. I told you, really young WS team, and Steve Klein's going to have to do a great job. And so far he has. Millard North is looking, or Millard West is looking really good early. But Millard North, they're still kind of fitting some pieces in. They've Derek Rollins is the one full-time starters they had back from last year. They're working in some guys that kind of work their way up the ranks there and working in some transfers as well. So Millard North is still kind of figuring things out. It will be interesting to see how North Star matches up with Rollins and his ability to score both inside and out. That's going to be the key for them, because you can slow him down. That's a lot of ways. That's kind of how WS won that game, and they kept him in check.
Jacob, safe travels. Enjoy the coverage tonight. Appreciate you. And at Jacob Padilla _ where you can follow Jacob on Twitter. Hail Varsity and Hurrdat Sports with the write-ups. Jacob, take care. Thanks so much.
Talk to you guys next time.
All right, bud. There he is. Jacob Padilla with us. We'll squeeze in some Fred Hoiberg here before 5 o'clock. Bill Doleman, John Baylor coming up here, hour 2. It's Hail Varsity YouTube channel.
Hi, this is Dave with Dave's Heating and Air, Lincoln's local family-owned heating and air business.
Dave's Heating and Air is Lincoln's professionals you can trust. Whether you need service, repairs, or a new system, Dave's is here for you. Dave's wants your home to feel comfortable and cozy. Get the peace of mind guarantee and call Dave's for your HVAC needs.
Call me today at 402-480-3004 and talk with a professional. Dave's Heating and Air, doing whatever it takes.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-709-7022. 800-709-7022. 800-709-7022.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
You're counting on your team to win, so why not prove it? By placing your bets at Warhorse Sportsbook. Their win is your win. Put your money where your mouth is on nearly every sporting event. Use the Warhorse app to check odds and build your bets before placing your wagers in person at Warhorse Casino, including live in-game betting. No bets, no glory. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Offer not valid in all states or prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Bills piling up? Rent due? Just need some extra cash to get by? Then you need to go to getcash.com, where you can get approved for a loan of up to $10,000 in minutes. No need to search through endless loan sites. Getcash.com is one of the largest lender networks. They can help anyone get up to $10,000 regardless of their credit score. Best part? The money can be in your bank.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Thanks for spending time at Hail Varsity Friday edition with you. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, Justice Rhody. Weekend edition of Hail Varsity tomorrow. Hail Varsity YouTube channel. We'll say 7:45-ish. We good with that. We'll be ready to go tomorrow morning. Husker basketball tips at 7. And, of course, Nebraska volleyball. Following A&M and Wisconsin, 489-1240 to get in, 800-825-5865. And quick reminder to you, it's going to be a little slick out. We know that Jacob Padilla is making his way down I-80, bless his soul, for plenty of coverage with Hurrdat Sports. And it's supposed to get a little funky. So if you're in the capital city or, quite frankly, in the eastern part of the state, you have that winter weather advisory with the glazed ice, that black ice, no good to deal with. Buckle up, use your seatbelt. It saves lives, prevents injuries only if properly worn. Make it click, a message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. It is funny to see some of the folks in the stream watching us on flat screens throwing beers, priming up for Nebraska and Indiana tonight.
Yeah, shout out to the gentleman Sam and crew.
Yes. Love it.
That's one way to watch Hail Varsity Radio.
One way. We can't physically, otherwise we'd join you and cheers one more time on the old air for you. Appreciate that. But let's hear from Fred Hoiberg as he's trying to get his guys back at it. And let's try and squeeze in, trying to respond here. Post-Michigan State cut one from the mayor.
That hadn't been us all year, and that was the disappointing thing. Is I thought we really had prepared well all season long, and I don't know if it was the Creighton game. It was similar to last year a little bit, where we played on the road. We had a great win against Kansas State, maybe our best road win of the season, and then we bounced back in a very similar game that we played after the Creighton game. So we play last year North Dakota, and we're getting it handed to us at halftime. So the challenge after the Creighton win was to bounce back with great effort. And we did that, I thought, against South Dakota and then North Florida team that I think you all know how on edge we were going into that one, a team that had knocked out 2 high majors. So then we get a week. And, it may have been as simple as exhaling, taking your foot off the gas, and then having a day off and then coming back in. And the energy just wasn't the same as what it had been for the entire season with this team. So that really last week was hopefully the outlier for this season, for that game. And, they bounced back and responded the way that we hoped they would have. And, we beat them up pretty good. We had to, after what happened to us. We just got completely outworked and outmanned. And the physicality of the game in this league, Michigan State obviously is as good as anybody in the country, but we're going to see that every night. We're going to see it on Friday with Indiana. They're big, they're strong, they're playing really good basketball right now. They're healthy. And it's a team that'll pose a lot of the same problems that Michigan State did. And if we don't respond to a run, to adversity, the same thing is going to happen that happened on Saturday afternoon for the entire season. That's how this league is. It's how it goes. So, I've been pleased with how they've responded, but we'll see how we step up to the challenge on Friday night.
So a lot of times we've heard our fathers say, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. Fred's mad and disappointed. Right?
You heard that one too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you the old tone. I'm just disappointed. Well, no, I'm mad and disappointed. We'll see if they take it out on Indiana. Hour 2 coming up. Bill Doleman on the way. John Baylor as well.
The perfect time to get outdoors. Hey, I'm Hershey with your Nebraska Game and Parks, here to give you the inside scoop with the outdoor experts on Outdoor Nebraska. Join me every Saturday morning at 9:45 a.m. right here on KFOR.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-3128. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-3128. That's 800-575-3128. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com. Show the coupon at the pharmacy and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
Lincoln's local news, talk, sports, and weather station. FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR, and KFRX HD3, Lincoln.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Federal authorities say there is no public risk due to those drone sightings in the Northeast, but lawmakers are asking President Biden to do more to find out who's behind them.
New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy sending a letter to President Biden saying more resources are needed to fully understand what is behind this activity. Drones also seen over parts of New York City. White House National Security spokesman John Kirby says there is no evidence the reported drones pose any threat or are tied to a foreign country.
Upon review of available imagery, it appears that many of the reported sightings are actually manned aircraft that are being operated lawfully.
That answer is not enough for some local leaders.
ABC's Perry Russum, a health scare for a high-ranking Democrat while overseas.
Former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi was hospitalized after she sustained an injury during an official engagement in Luxembourg. Pelosi, who was 84, was there to mark the 80th anniversary of the Battle of the Bulge and was admitted to the hospital for evaluation. A spokesperson did not provide any detail on the injury, but said the former speaker is receiving excellent care and continues to work as she looks forward to returning to the U.S. soon. Molly Nagel, ABC News, the White House.
President-elect Trump says he wants to change the seasonal time change twice a year.
It's a debate that never seems to end, but President-elect Trump believes it should, saying on social media the GOP will, quote, use its best efforts to eliminate daylight saving time, which has a small but strong constituency, but shouldn't, unquote. Many believe the twice-yearly time change sparks negative health consequences, but opponents of year-round standard time note that first light in the summer in parts of the U.S. would happen before 4 a.m. Year-round daylight time would mean kids lining up for the bus in the dark all winter.
ABC's Stephen Portnoy. National security officials say they have flown American Travis Timmerman from Syria to Jordan, the 29-year-old released after the fall of the Assad regime. You're listening to ABC News.
My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Our first taste of wintry weather of the season. Hello, I'm Will Wilson. It's 28 degrees at KFOR. Much of eastern Nebraska, including Lincoln and Lancaster County, are under a winter weather advisory that started at 2 o'clock this afternoon and it runs until 9 tomorrow morning. The main threat will be the freezing rain.
Around 2 to 3 p.m. this afternoon, just in time to make the evening commute today really tricky.
Laurel McCoy is the lead meteorologist at the National Weather Service in Valley and tells KFOR News freezing drizzle will change back over to rain overnight with temperatures rising. A 2016 Kia Soul was stolen from a residence in southeast Lincoln Thursday night and was later found early this morning abandoned in southwestern Lancaster County. According to Chief Deputy Ben Houchin, the first pursuit happened around 1 a.m. near Highway 77 and Roca Road, where a deputy saw a vehicle speeding and tried to stop it.
The Kia failed to stop and the deputy pursued it. The pursuit was terminated as it approached the village of Roca for safety reasons.
The second pursuit happened an hour and a half later, where a deputy saw the Kia at Highway 77 and Saltillo Road, and it fled from another attempted stop.
It also shut its lights off, and speeds got to be over 100 miles per hour.
That pursuit was terminated around Southwest 114th and Highway 33. Houchin says around 7 a.m., deputies found the vehicle crashed and abandoned at Southwest 128th and West Stagecoach Road near the village of Kramer. KFOR's sister station 104.1 The Blaze is promoting the Teddy Bear Toss tonight at the Icebox when the Lincoln Stars hockey team plays the Tri-City Storm. Blaze midday host Animal tells KFOR News the station has been working with the Stars for the past 20 years to do the Teddy Bear Toss. This benefits the Community Action Partnership of Lancaster and Saunders counties. High school basketball on KFOR tonight features Columbus boys at Lincoln Southeast with Jeff Motes on the call. The game has been pushed up from its original starting time to 6:15 due to weather later today. Expect freezing rain to begin in the next hour, and it should last throughout the night. I'm Will Wilson, KFOR News.
These
These are today's top headlines.
The head of the company that owns United Healthcare says the entire system isn't working. Meanwhile, Luigi Mangione is charged with second-degree murder of CEO Brian Thompson. Drones over New Jersey launch investigations and conspiracies.
Don't miss a thing. Stay connected for whatever's next.
News that affects you. On air and on demand. FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR.
Keep up with the local news, sports, your favorite talk shows, and pro shows on KFOR wherever you roam. Stream us 24/7 at KFORnow.com or on your mobile. You can download the free iHeart or TuneIn app and stream KFOR on the go.
The following is a paid program. Content is provided by Hurrdat Media and may contain pre-recorded material. He's the pride of Fairbury, an average Joe. Bill Doleman, the professor.
I had a 6 ACT in 1967. One time I got an A and my grandma beat me for cheating.
Now with Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you, it's hour 2, Hail Varsity Radio. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, Justice Rhody. Pride of Fairbury is here. The professor, Bill Doleman, at Bill Doleman on Twitter. John Baylor coming up here at 5:25.
Hey.
That's right. The 1-2 punch, the 1 point and 1 time undefeated tag team champion, John Baylor, Bill Doleman, John Baylor. And Dole, what would your finishing move be in the wrestling ring? And what do you think JB's finishing move would be in the wrestling ring?
John would talk somebody into submission.
Wow.
It's the grammar correction. Hammer the grammar.
He's going to use a steel chair on your thorax, and it's going to be good night, Irene.
The finishing move of the grammar hammer could be it.
That'd be all right.
I mean, come on. That would be perfect. John Baylor coming off in the AWA, you couldn't go off the top rope, right?
No.
You had to come off the second, because if you went off the top rope, that was
too dangerous.
Yeah, you were thrown out. So that was illegal in AWA wrestling. But JB would probably come off the second ring rope with the grammar hammer, and there'd be no coming back. Like Greg the Hammer Valentine, he had the bolo punch.
What?
The grammar hammer.
Okay,
yeah.
I like it.
Jim Raschke, great Husker wrestler from Omaha South, the Baron von Raschke.
Yeah, the claw.
The claw master, the great German from Omaha South.
Yes, a lot of us spent some time in Omaha South. I did not. I did in South Lincoln, but not South Omaha. Do you read any tea leaves here with Coach Butler or Coach Rhule from yesterday's press conference in reference to Tony White moving on? That's floating around.
Oh, I don't know. I think when you get to, certain points of the season, you start to try to read between, the lines that you used to write on when you were in elementary school, or at least I did, when people still used pens and papers and wrote in cursive. So we had these, I don't know can I say Big Chief tablet, or is that no longer politically correct?
We're good.
So you had to write, I think nowadays, we've been at this so long that people are trying to read between the lines and parse the words. And what do you mean by that? And what do you mean by that? And I think especially in the wake of Dana Holgerson's press conference, where I think we could read between those lines pretty easily, right?
It was the top row of the eye chart. Yes.
There was some pretty clear messages sent that the way this had been done for the first 18 games, that wasn't the right way to go about it. And so Dana Holgerson gave people a lot of breadcrumbs. In fact, entire loaves of bread. And so now when the conversation shifts to Tony White and Terrence Knighton and John Butler, all that, maybe people are starting to look for just a little bit more, because this has been such a silly season, and unlike any December or off season that I can remember. And maybe we've earned it, given the fact the last 7 or 8 Decembers have been the old Counting Crows song, A Long December.
Yes.
So it's just fun, right? It's fun to have conversations like this, or we will be talking about Vern Gagne and AWA Championship Wrestling. But I'm not going to read too much into it about Tony White and whatnot.
Bill, we've talked before, and as we kind of spend the day talking about Husker basketball, Husker football, and Husker volleyball, we've talked before on this show about this offseason potentially being the offseason after year 2 for Fred Hoiberg, but for Matt Rhule and the Husker football team, where they're kind of recalibrating, retooling what they want. Now that we're 2 full weeks removed from the Iowa loss, do you think that still could hold true? Or do you think keeping a guy like John Butler and what you did at the end of the year offensively, does that kind of fly in the face of that theory we had, I think it was a week and a half ago?
That this was going to be quiet?
Well, no, that this was going to be an offseason where Matt Rhule really retools what he wants.
Yeah. Okay. Was that 2 weeks ago, the Iowa game, or 2 months ago?
Feels like 2 years ago.
I look, we all have heard and were sold 2 years ago that Matt Rhule has a plan, and this is just how it develops, and this is what happened at Temple, and this is what happened at Baylor. We are in a new era, and it has to happen now. Tim Beck had a press conference at Coastal Carolina yesterday, I believe, when he said, you don't build programs anymore. You build to win every year with a new team, basically. And certainly at Coastal Carolina and schools like that, who knows what you're going to have year to year. You develop a player and they're immediately gone. So, yeah, I'm sure Matt Rhule has a blueprint on how to build a program, but all the notes that he had, there needs to be a new edition now. It's got to be not just 2.0, but 3.0 and 4.0. That, okay, the foundation was put in place by what I did at Temple and Baylor, but the college football was much, much different. And the rebuilding project, you did have time, but you did not have the transfer portal, and you didn't have the NIL and all of that stuff. So I think when you bring in John Butler like he did, and you've got Dana Holgerson, and it's like we talked about on Average Joe, I think Matt Rhule is now seeing, and Phil Snow too, is seeing, he is going to be the general manager of Nebraska football. Even though he's the head coach, I think he's very much going to be the general manager, and that was not the case at Temple and Baylor. He was the football coach, building a program and bringing guys in for hopefully 4 years, and they get their education and go on and maybe go to the NFL. And now he's back in the college NFL. So everything is being retooled, including the way he does his business, because he couldn't just come in here. Even what he would say 2 years ago is different now. It really doesn't apply.
Bill Doleman's with us. Bill, just seen on social media, Malachi Coleman, Minnesota Golden Gophers. How does Fleck and Malachi Coleman mesh?
That's an interesting, I did not think he'd go north. I thought he'd find himself, down south someplace where it might be warm and, maybe in the SEC or something like that. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting. Certainly PJ Fleck is all about, the old college try and motivating and boat rowing and all of that. So maybe he feels like he can get Malachi Coleman motivated. They're going to have a quarterback there that can utilize his talents and get him the ball. And they're going to have to get him in a position where he's going to have to be a more physical Big Ten style receiver than I think what he, showed at Nebraska and maybe even in high school to a certain extent.
It's official visit weekend, so it's not.
Oh, it's just a visit. Gotcha.
Well, that was my mistake, but the poster is in. It looks like, dude, I'm going to Minnesota. We'll see where the other Malachi Coleman tour takes him. But PJ's done really well putting guys into the NFL.
Yeah, well, some people like to be coached like that. Mm-hmm. He is a different college coach. There's no question. He had success at Western Michigan. It's worked for the most part at Minnesota. At some point, though, does that style continue on, especially in this era of the collegiate NFL model? I think there's a place for the PJ Flex, and Minnesota was it, but that time might be winding down, and we all know he's been looking in the past.
Well, is it interesting to you that we haven't heard smoke of PJ's name being floated out for other jobs? Like, he kind of redeemed himself this season. It didn't seem on its face to be the most talented Minnesota roster, but they continue getting better and better as the year went on and turned themselves into a team that I think if it had been traditional Big Ten West, I think they would have been in contention to go win a Big Ten West crown this year, even though they did lose to Illinois.
Possibly. And don't you think also, I mean, the college football carousel this season was gearing up to be kind of a wild ride. And even though there have been some interesting hirings this week, but the Florida job not opening up, I think really changed the dynamic for how the college football silly season of coaches carousel. And I think that would have been a job that he probably would have been enamored by. And I think he was probably waiting to see what was going to happen with Lincoln Riley at USC. Who knows? Maybe something will happen with that. But I think that things really changed when Florida decided to stick with Billy Napier. And it appears as though maybe that was it's been a good move. We'll see how that plays out next year. It's not going to that seat's still going to be warm next year. But when that job didn't open up, I think that solidified or put dominoes in place to not fall.
And what could really change things, in my opinion, if Ohio State goes and lays an egg against Tennessee in the first round of the playoff, does that seat open up? Does that change some things in the coaching carousel? If Ryan Day,
Pesci, again, second Goodfellas reference, Joe Pesci walking into that room.
Well, didn't they say he's probably coming back?
Yeah, probably, sure. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, sure. Things are fine, right?
Yeah. What about this? What about this though? Marcus Freeman goes to the Bears. What if that happens?
If he goes to the Bears, I think Urban Meyer gives it one more try. And he loves South Bend.
And what happens if Brian Daboll gets whacked? Another Goodfellas reference in New York, and they've got the number 1 pick. And they're looking for a quarterback, and they need a head coach.
Chad come to.
Yeah, right. So
Dewar in prime to New York.
Exactly. Or does I love this part. See, I didn't get to play the full coaching carousel. So what happens if in Dallas they decide in the entertainment that is the league, that is the NFL, that maybe Mike McCarthy moves on, Dallas makes a move to somehow get the number 1 pick in the draft and move on from Mike McCarthy. And now you have Prime and Shedeur where they need a healthy, Dak's, beat up. Maybe he becomes the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys and gets his quarterback there too. So that could still give us, a thrill ride of coaching carousel this year. And that would open up jobs in college.
No, it would. Want to go to basketball? Hoiberg and crew tip off at 7. National spotlight on a kind of a lighter weekend, and it's Indiana. Nebraska's had their way with IU, but it needs to tonight. A lot of urgency this week from Fred Hoiberg after the beatdown that Sparty laid on him last Saturday.
I said last week that if Nebraska doesn't win at Michigan State, or I think play well, then this becomes must win. And given the way that beatdown went down, I think this is kind of a must win for Nebraska, because you're starting to build that resume for the NCAA tournament already, because you've got pre New Year conference games, and to lose the way they lost to Michigan State, it'd been one thing to lose by 12, but by 32 or whatever it was. I pretty much lost interest after the Connor Essegian flagrant foul and knew how it was going to go when it did. So hopefully, there's nothing that they have to worry about there. But, they're at home. Hopefully PBA has some atmosphere to it. It's kind of tough right now being the cusp of finals week with students. Hopefully they show up, Justice. So it's on you. If you want a good grade, get your boys there, buddy.
Hey, the buddies are already there. They're saving me a seat. We're rolling 8 deep to that front row.
All right, very good. Very good.
Justice's college experience seems different than mine. Go to a basketball game, get an A. Wish Bill Doleman was my professor.
Right, he's the best local lecturer there is.
Yeah. Wow. The local lecturer will be in the booth. Yeah.
lecturer, local broadcaster,
yes.
And NBC aficionado, Bill Doleman.
Man that has a statue in Fairbury, Nebraska, Bill Doleman on the call. I love it.
And Bill, as we talk Husker basketball, the other big event tonight, I wonder what it does to the crowd at PBA is Husker volleyball. Obviously not a foregone conclusion. They take down Dayton, but this team feels special this season. if they do take down Dayton, and if it is Wisconsin tomorrow, how do you feel?
Beating a team 3 times in 1 year, I don't know. I think that there are some hurdles in front of Nebraska to win a national championship. There seems something different about this postseason run, even though it's been 2 matches in, as opposed to last year when, it was great at the beginning of the season. It was just, can they have enough energy to get across the finish line and win a national title, and they lose in the national championship match? This team seems to have some pretty good chemistry going on. They lost at Penn State, but they played well. They do have something special, but I would be scared of having to play Wisconsin a 3rd time. That would make their entire season, to spoil Nebraska's bid for a national title and to do it in Lincoln. And then on the other side of it, if Nebraska wins at some point, oh my gosh, what happens if they take on a Creighton team that they have owned forever? And Creighton gets its elusive first ever win over Nebraska, I think it would be, if it's in the NCAA tournament. I mean, I think there's some danger points for Nebraska if they're going to win it all.
We'll keep that danger point theme here for a second as we say goodbye. This is a novel idea. Slinkies and extra credit at the bar.
I'm not sure a Slinky would. I don't think that probably would not go over well in the grade book.
No, it would not.
Guinness?
No. You can't spell Guinness without an A. So yeah, I'm okay. It's negotiable.
I don't want to turn this into a don't binge drink PSA, but
hey, I'm 21.
I know, but I mean, there needs to be some discussion with a certain, yards per carry or touchdowns in the red zone, number of Slinkies consumed on a Friday night.
Advanced analytics.
Yes. I love it.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to work for me. But,
no, and Bill Doleman, good answer.
Other things are negotiable.
The professor with us here, Bill Doleman. We get a hold of Seth and the crew. What's the record for Slinkies at the bar?
Ask crew.
Oh no. Bill will holler this weekend, bud. Appreciate you much.
All right, see you all.
There he is. John Baylor coming up with Hail Varsity.
Hey.
In their huge holiday 30% off sale with the lowest prices of the year. Now through December 31st, while supplies last. They know the secret to losing up to 1 pound of fat every day with no exercising, no prepackaged meals, no counting points or calories, no drugs, no surgery, and no injections with the risk of serious side effects. Sign up now to get the discount, and you can start the program before, during, or after the holidays. You'll keep the weight off for good with the revolutionary program. No more losing weight and then gaining it back. Go to LincolnWeightLoss.com now for details. I'm living proof that this program works. I lost all the weight in just a couple of weeks, and I've kept it off for over a year. Take advantage of the lowest prices of the year with this huge holiday sale. 30% off while supplies last. Do the program in person or virtually from anywhere you live. Schedule your free consultation now. 402-520-8170. That's LincolnWeightLoss.com.
My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
Welcome to Staples.
Help! My family's in for the holidays and I need gift ideas.
That's why we're here. Staples has amazing deals on everything you need. Photo gifts, laptops, and gaming systems. Even custom holiday cards and shipping solutions to send gifts to the family that can't make it.
Perfect! Have anything for Uncle Frank? I love him, but the guy is never quiet.
Noise-canceling headphones. For you.
You get it.
Unwrap huge holiday savings at Staples. And right now at Staples, save up to $350 on select computers. Ends 12/28, in-store only.
KFOR.
Right now at Staples, save up to $350 on select computers. Ends 12/28, in-store only.
KFOR.
Right now at Staples, save up to $350 on select computers.
And now,
back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back into it. It's Hail Varsity. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel. Find us Hail Varsity YouTube channel. He's been hammering the grammar, and he's been crushing it on the volleyball front with, John Baylor just knows his way to the Final Four, as does John Cook, as does Nebraska Volleyball. The great John Baylor with us here on Hail Varsity. JB, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, bud. How we doing?
Schmidt, Elijah, doing very well. Fired up. It's the best time of the year for volleyball fans. Middle of December, the Huskers are trying to get to their 18th Final Four ever, and it's a lot easier getting there going through Lincoln.
It is a one last rodeo for Nebraska at the Devaney Center before the Final Four. John, what's this team meant to you when you look at your time covering Nebraska volleyball? What stands out about this team?
Their chemistry. They genuinely love each other. Just amazing on the airplanes, on the buses. They just love each other, and they spend so much time together. They pretty much all live on the same floor, or certainly in the same building, it seems like, and they spend so much time together, and they just all always get along. That's pretty unusual for 14 Homo sapiens who spend so much time together. And it really is important on the floor because, Purdue had a match point chance back in October, and the Huskers withstood that. They won 25 straight matches, and 20 of those were sweeps, and a lot of adversity. And other than SMU and when Penn State on the road, I mean, this is a team that's overcome nearly all of it. So there's that. There's the supreme talent. I mean, every one of these players, for the most part, except for perhaps the walk-on Maisie Bosinger, is a top 15 recruit. So, I mean, just, watch closely. I mean, this is a collection of talent that's, coaches would love to have. And Nebraska's been able to assemble it, and they get along well. They play together so well. They're beautiful to watch. And now they just need to accomplish the one missing attribute on their resume for these fabulous seniors, this incredible senior class, and that is the mountaintop.
Yeah, and to get to the mountaintop, John, they're going to have to make it through Dayton tonight. And I feel like a lot of the conversation with this weekend has been a third chance at Wisconsin, but to maybe get that opportunity, you got to make it through Dayton first. What do you see in that Flyers team? What do you expect to see tonight?
Sure. Well, they're 31-2, the identical record as Nebraska. They're back-to-back champions of the Atlantic 10 Conference. So you're thinking, hold on, what's the Atlantic 10 Conference? Virginia Commonwealth, Loyola Chicago, which actually beat them in the A10 tournament 2 weeks ago. Davidson, George Washington, George Mason, St. Louis, Duquesne, University of Rhode Island, and Fordham. So they've won that conference. So they haven't had the toughest schedule. They're playing their best volleyball right now because after losing to Loyola Chicago, then defeated South Carolina in 4 in the tournament. South Carolina beat Florida twice this year, and then they beat Baylor in 5. And so they've made it to their first regional. Their best player, she's just amazing. She's only 5'8". So, Schmidt, when you've got your platform dancing shoes, I mean, you're barely taller than she is. I mean, she's only 5'8".
Wow.
And she averages 5 kills a set. Lexi Almodovar, 5 straight first-team all-conference. And last year, she was the Midwest Regional Player of the Year, 2-time Atlantic 10 Conference Player there. She's just going to get tons of swings, but she has a lot of help. So it's a team that's that's the Cinderella right now. And they've crashed the party. They beat Baylor. They got here as a number 5 seed, a number 23 ranked team in the AVCA latest regular season poll. So you got a number 23 team, which is one of 16 left. And after yesterday, one of 12 teams still playing. So they're here to spoil Nebraska's party.
John Baylor with his voice of Husker Volleyball, Hail Varsity Radio. You hear John, of course, on AM 590. Great coverage, proud partner, Husker Volleyball and Nebraska Athletics. JB, we were kind of thinking it was going to be some deja vu. Yes, Wisconsin, but maybe Arizona State. That's not the case, as you've got the Fighting Trev Alberts coming to town.
I wonder if he'll be here. That'll be
we've been wondering that all week. And if he is here, is he on the floor?
Yeah. Well, we'll find out tonight. They play in the early match, 6 o'clock Central Time. I think Arizona State would have been a better matchup, more competitive match, because we saw them earlier in the year, and they run one of the fastest offenses in the country. But A&M deserved it. You know, they're not restaurant patrons, so they're not going to tip much. They are just fire away. So that's good. That's the kind of mentality you want this time of year. And that's probably their best chance of somehow beating Wisconsin. They're going to run into that huge Wisconsin block all night, but they're going to take big swings, and they've beaten Texas this year. They've finished in the 5th place in the SEC, which, you know, sent 5 teams to the Sweet 16. So that's a legit conference now in volleyball. So they got a good puncher's chance. But, you know, Wisconsin on paper is, arguably the most talented team in the country.
Before we talk a potential Nebraska-Wisconsin rematch, how does Nebraska avoid getting stung tonight? How does Wisconsin avoid getting stung tonight?
Nebraska has to just play its game. I mean, this is the only team in the tournament thus far that hasn't had an opponent score 20 or more points. So Nebraska has just completely dominated Florida A&M and then Miami. And, you know, Miami was a legit team that had beaten Texas, had beaten Stanford, had beaten Georgia Tech, and Nebraska had just dominated them. Smothered them. I mean, those two opponents have hit barely above 0, and Nebraska has been way above 300. So 2 total mismatches. So more of the same tonight. Just pass well and run that balanced attack. I mean, Nebraska's got 5 attackers, 6 attackers who are averaging like 1.8 to 3.2 kills a set. I mean, so the defense can't just focus on one player. Whereas tonight, I mean, Nebraska can really focus on Lexi Almodovar. And so just balanced offense, so you pass really well so you can run that balanced offense and just put up that smothering Nebraska defense. I mean, this year their 7th opponents have the 7th lowest attack percentage for any team in the country. So we got one of the top defenses again in the country. The last 2 years we were the number 1 defense in the country. So anyway, with our block, with our back row diggers, arguably the best ever in the history of the program, just focus on what we do well. And make them just play out of their minds. And when opponents see our big block, often they have to hit around it, and they just hit a lot of sharp shots that end up out of bounds. So just more of the same there. For Wisconsin, they're healthy. I mean, they have not been healthy all year. When we saw them 3 weeks ago and swept them here, they played a libero who's not even going to get on the floor tonight. So, I mean, they've got their starting libero back, Lola Schumacher. They've got their starting defensive specialist back, and they've got all the firepower up front. Well, firepower up front gets neutralized if you don't have good passing. They've got their good back row players back. Now they're going to have good passing. It's a different Badger team.
John Baylor's with us, Husker Volleyball tonight, Hail Varsity Radio. John, I want to ask you about Pitt and their coach, Dan Fisher, and what they could present. I'm fast forwarding. I'm saying Nebraska takes care of business in its Final Four time. What is it about this Pitt team that is, I don't know, scary, but more so made them so effective?
Well, it starts with Dan Fisher's fashion choices. I think he's auditioning for Mad Men. I mean, the guy not only dresses like he's an accountant, like an accountant from the 1950s. So I admire him. I mean, he looks great. He not only rolls up his sleeves, he rolls up above the elbow. The guy is a winner, though. 3 straight Final Fours. They're on the brink of a 4th. They've never gotten beyond the national semis. They got the best player in the country in Olivia Babcock. They got a fabulous fellow sophomore, Tori Stafford. They've got seniors all over the floor. They got a glue player in the back row, really saved them last night. They got one of the best setters in the country who's a senior. So, I mean, this is their chance. Now they'll have the two sophomores back, Olivia Babcock and Tori Stafford next year, but presumably, they're going to miss a lot of their seniors. So this is their real chance. And I thought Oregon would be their toughest matchup on their way to the Final Four, and it's so true. I mean, Mimi Collier nearly carried Oregon to that win. She had 4 service aces and hit 3. She's just an amazing 6 rotation player, and they were that close, and that would have really helped whoever gets Pittsburgh in the Final Four if Oregon had knocked them off. Anyway, it's Pittsburgh's national championship to win, and Kentucky's had a Cinderella season themselves. I mean, the idea that Kentucky team we saw in the opening match of the year somehow is in the Elite Eight is just almost unthinkable. And Craig Skinner's absolutely one of the best coaches in the country. They've got, Brooke DeLay, who's going to be in the conversation for National Player of the Year. She won't win it. Brooke DeLay is a sophomore out of Topeka, Kansas. She's getting 5 kills a set, and she carries them every match. And they're unidimensional, but still opponents can't stop them. So Kentucky's got a puncher's chance. They got a great coach, and who knows, stranger things have happened.
Well, John, if Nebraska's going to earn the right to play a team like Pitt, all signs point to the fact that they're going to have to get through Wisconsin one more time. Take us through that potential matchup. Huskers, Badgers for the 3rd time this season. Is it more difficult to beat a team 3 times, as they say?
I don't even know what that means, frankly, because, Wisconsin beat Nebraska twice in 2019, 3 times in 2019, 3 times in 2021. I mean, that Miami team that Nebraska just played, I don't think we'd have any trouble beating them 3, 4, 5 times at the Devaney this year. So that one confuses me, but people say that all the time. This is just one match against a different Wisconsin team. They're healthy now. I mean, in one rotation, they go 6-4, 6-7, 6-9. I mean, they walk through airports and they turn heads. I mean, they got to really be careful going through doorways. I mean, this is one of the biggest teams ever. I mean, Devin Robinson was one of the greatest middle blockers coming out of high school in the history of the sport. She's a 5th-year senior, and she platoons. She doesn't even play full-time as a 5th-year senior. That's how talented they are. I mean, CeCe Crawford plays half the time at the same position. It's just, they are loaded with talent now. Where might their weak links be? I mean, Lola Schumacher's a freshman libero. I mean, she's playing great. She's healthy now, off the concussion problem. I mean, they do have a freshman setter, Charlie Purebringer, but at this stage of the game, they're not really freshmen anymore. And she had 2 All-American volleyball parents, so she knows what she's up to. They run one of the biggest clubs in Southern California. So, yeah, she knows what she's up to. And then they've got a second outside who's only 6 feet tall, Yulia Orzel. But, she started at that position as a freshman on their national championship team. So you got to really look closely to find a weak link. They got one of the biggest blocks in the history of the sport. So Nebraska's got to figure out how to pass the ball well if this matchup occurs so they can run middles and right side. Because if you run middles and right side, the Badgers' left side of their defense is a little bit shorter than the right side of the defense. If you have to set outside over and over and have to hit into the 6-9 and a Schmidt, that's a tall order. But it's going to be an absolute war. And the Devaney Center crowd is going to have to make it and will make a huge difference.
John Baylor with us here, Hail Varsity Radio. Hang on, JB. We'll get some final thoughts as he's gearing up for Nebraska volleyball tonight, 8:30-ish, or whenever Wisconsin and A&M ends, 30 minutes after. Can hear JB, of course, on the Husker Network, our friends up at AM 590, Omaha's ESPN and Husker Home. Going to have that for you. Slick out in Lincoln. It's brutal. Our old boy, Mr. Bryden, said it took him 45 minutes when it should take you about 15. It is slick. It is icy. Be careful. Roaming around. More John Baylor. Friday forecast also on the way.
Sunday, the Chiefs head to Cleveland's Huntington Bank Field to take on the Browns. Pre-game starts at 11 a.m. on your home for Kansas City Chiefs football.
FM 101.5, 1240 a.m. KFOR.
Where's the perfect place to go for lunch every day?
Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
Where can you watch all of your favorite college and professional sports all season long?
Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
Who's got family-friendly entertainment all throughout the week, including trivia, music bingo, and live music every Friday?
Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
Hurrdat Sports Bar in La Vista is the spot for lunch, date night, corporate events, or even a late-night cocktail. A one-of-a-kind spot for sports fans and more. Behind Cabela's in La Vista.
Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
Save big money on your bathroom remodel at Menards. Keep your bathroom feeling clean with Browen's Bathroom Exhaust Fan and Bacteria Removing Light. Its Surface Shield technology combined with Browen's powerful ventilation prevents the growth of bacteria, mold, and fungi within your bathroom. It installs easily and reduces air leakage by up to 50%. Get the Browen Bathroom Ceiling Fan and Bacteria Removing Light today for $149.99 at Menards. Sale price good through December 15th.
4 seasons, 3 days for you all from Menards.
Hello, neighbor from Super C Convenience Stores, asking for your help to support the Heartland Cancer Foundation. HCF provides practical and immediate financial assistance to eligible cancer patients in our communities. Between December 9th and 15th, Super C will 100% match your donation to help local cancer patients with everyday expenses. We're asking you to please say yes to a $1 donation so those battling cancer in our communities can focus on what matters, healing. Super C, always happy to help.
An hour ago, you didn't need a plumber. Now you're in a panic. When life throws you a surprise with a clogged drain, plugged or leaky toilet, broken pipe, leaky faucet or water heater, or a bathroom or kitchen plumbing upgrade, whatever. Just call Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. 467-1111. Keep that number handy, 467-1111. Or go to BryantLincoln.com. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Trust is a foundation of any strong relationship. It's earned every day.
At 1011, it's the way we cover the community we call home.
Working hard to fact check, verify, and get the story right.
It means alerting you first to severe weather and preparing for what's ahead.
It's telling the stories that bring us together and make us proud to be Nebraskans.
Trust Cole Miller, Madison Pitch, Chief Meteorologist Ken Schmidt, and Sports Director Kevin Suits. The most watched, the most trusted. That's 1011.
Ooh, ma. What was that?
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
John Baylor with us, voice of Husker Volleyball. Catch him all weekend as Nebraska pushes towards another Final Four and maybe another championship. JB, I want to see you wearing a red cowboy hat when Nebraska potentially wins the whole thing this season. Can we get a selfie with that?
Oh, selfie, no problem. Cowboy hat. I'll be clean shaven, the whole deal. But hey, tonight the opponent's the Dayton Flyers. Why are they called the Flyers?
Because of the Dayton airport.
Perhaps. Probably, though, because the Wright brothers.
Oh, yes.
Dayton, Ohio. These guys, with their dad, ran a bicycle shop. This is one of the quintessential American stories. You want to be proud of our country? Just learn about the Wright brothers. Okay, every country, including the United States, had government programs trying to solve the issue of air flight. No one could figure out how to fly. So every Western country had tons of money focused on how to solve this problem. A couple bicycle shop owners in Dayton, Ohio, with the help of their dad and the help of their sister, figured it out. And they were mocked. They were mocked by everyone. Like, who are these guys? And they figured it out first. It's a quintessential American story. It gives me goosebumps to think about what they accomplished back in 1910. Anyway, their legacy among so many is not just all the airplanes, but their legacy is their university is named after them. The city, it's in so many ways is dedicated to them. So it's got to make you proud. And their university, which is named after their invention, is going to try to pull the big upset tonight.
Well, hey, I was kind of right. We had researched it briefly. How do we get through Dayton to Columbus, the football season, when Elijah and I were traveling to Nebraska, Ohio State? Nice. So,
is it a good airport?
Yeah, we didn't end up going through Dayton because it was not economically feasible to do so. But yeah, I knew it had to do something with Flying.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. JB's going to hang up now.
Wilbur and Orville. There are not enough Wilburs and Orvils anymore. Everyone's like a Harrison or a Kylie. I mean, I'm excited to meet an Orville sometime.
Well, the last one I heard about made popcorn. So, John,
nice.
we'll see you this holiday season. And thanks for giving us some time, bud.
Anytime. GBR.
Good stuff from John Baylor. He gets ready for it. We're going to effort Claus. He's imaginary. He's one that wears red this time of year. Excited. A week from today, we are going to do Claus's infamous and legendary naughty and nice list. It's been funny. You've had some normal folks that have been on the nice list. You've had some folks shift over to the naughty list, and we'll see who's on each list this year.
Yeah, I think you and I were on the list last year, were we not?
We're always on there, and he's always talking about purchasing leather for my wife. I mean, he goes that direction.
It's Claus.
I mean, it is Claus.
It's nice whenever you're nameless and faceless.
Yeah, and
you're
imaginary, you wear red. It goes all the way back to 2011, doing the Friday forecast. So, without further ado, if we get Claus, great. If not, we'll roll with the punches. Let's do the forecast. Maestro, music, please, and we'll start off with a little Army, a little Navy. Black Knights are fantastic. They're better than black ice. We can say that as you're ice skating maybe to PBA or the Bob Devaney Sports Center. The Army still favored by 5.5, 6.5. It's option football. For nostalgia's sake, let's just pray that there's a little snow, because option football in the snow is always better. Navy, a really good season this year. But I like Army, and I like them to cover by enough. 28-21. Give me the Black Knights to cover that 6.5, Elijah.
It's a lot of points. A lot of points for an Army-Navy game. I know we talked yesterday with Danny.
You load up, and it's the option pass, and your tight end's wide open.
It's the streak of the unders, though. And I think we're going to get an under again. It's Army-Navy. It's going to be cold weather. There's always going to be some added juice, excitement, emotion in this football game. For that reason, I think it stays somewhat low scoring. I think Army wins, but Navy covers 17-13 final score.
For an Army-Navy game, I think 6.5 is way too much. I think the competitiveness of this rivalry is really going to show. We're going to get some old school football. I like Army to win, but Navy to cover 24-20.
To Husker basketball we go. Minus 4.5. Huskers favored at home against Indiana. T-minus an hour and 15 minutes. Big Fox for the Fighting Freds and company. Nebraska responds. Jawan Gary responds. Too many bodies to throw at Indiana in the paint. PBA will be in a festive mood. They will stay warm once they get to PBA. They're getting warm right now in some of their favorite spots before crossing Canopy to find their way into PBA. It's Nebraska. I'll say 78. Indiana 68. Nebraska wins by 10.
I'm kind of in that same spot as you, Schmitty. The question being how many fans do make it in with this weather we have tonight, and obviously Husker Volleyball going down at the same time. I still think that Pinnacle Bank Arena, even if it's 3/4 full, is a big home court advantage for this Husker basketball team. I think they show a response after the embarrassing performance last weekend. Give me Nebraska 74 and Indiana 63.
So 2 covers. What says Justice?
Yeah, I like the way that this Nebraska team matches up with Indiana. We talked about the way that Fred Hoiberg is going to try to play the bigs inside. I think they get the perimeter shooting going. I think they manage guys to get open looks. I think Bryce Williams has a big game along with Jawan Gary. I like Nebraska in this one. I think a little bit more low scoring. I'm going to go 65-57 Nebraska.
Wow. So we all have a comfortable cover for the Big Red.
Is it fair? I mean, until they show it to you, we know the Indiana's always one of the more talented teams.
Right.
I still put them in the soft category.
I just don't think they play super physical under Mike Woodson. Even go back to this Knicks tenure, they've never been physical teams.
No, I think we're all on the same page there, and it's the opponent you want to see. And quite honestly, guys on this roster have confidence against it.
Yeah, and the way in which Nebraska got pushed around against Michigan State makes me think they're going to have a physical response tonight. Question is, Big Ten refereeing, do they try to keep this game less physical? If they do, I think Indiana can come in and win outright. But I think they're going to let these teams play physical. I think Nebraska is going to show some physicality after that bad performance.
Over under a prop bet for Nebraska, Indiana. Number of times the student section loses it on Kelly Pfeiffer. The over under set at 5.5.
That over's free no matter what the number is.
I've been doing some research on Kelly Pfeiffer. An article here from Sanford Health. Apparently he went to the doctors over at Sanford, got himself some sports psychology counseling in the offseason to try to improve his game refereeing wise. Does it make a difference?
He's working on him.
You never know.
Is Teddy Valentine still active? TV Teddy. Nebraska's been blessed with his appearance a couple of times. You know what? I mean, it's rare that football refereeing in the league rivals how bad basketball's been refereeing in the league, but right now, the football portion is telling basketball to hold its beer because they are the infamous leader in the clubhouse. We'll have some NFL thoughts when we say goodbye. It's Hail Varsity.
Warhorse Lincoln has a toy under the tree with your name on it. Your choice of a $15,000 motorsports toy. Play slots or table games to enter. Every 5 tier points earned is another entry. Join us December 14th at 6 p.m. when every 30 minutes, one guest will win $500 free slot play. And one lucky winner will unwrap their new toy. Only at Warhorse Casino Lincoln, minutes from downtown at Highway 77 and West Denton Road. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER. Warhorse Lincoln has a toy under the tree with your name on it. Your choice of a $15,000 motorsports toy. Play slots or table games to enter. Every 5 tier points earned is another entry. Join us December 14th at 6 p.m. when every 30 minutes, one guest will win $500 free slot play. And one lucky winner will unwrap their new toy. Only at Warhorse Casino Lincoln, minutes from downtown at Highway 77 and West Denton Road. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER. Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest. The last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
I'm Dave Wolf of the Time Shop. We've been voted the best watch repair store in Lincoln year after year. If you're a customer of the Time Shop, we thank you for your continued trust. And please tell your friends. If you've never been to the Time Shop, give us a try. We've been repairing watches in Lincoln since 1970 and can help with all your watch repair needs. We install batteries while you wait, and all work is done right here in our store. Come see us at the Time Shop, next to McDonald's at 6450 O Street, Lincoln.
Our liver works hard every day to remove toxins from processed foods and unclean air and water. But too many toxins can overwhelm the liver. Low energy, brain fog, headaches, bloating, and skin irritation are all telltale signs that we need to act. Active Liver from New Nordic is a natural supplement that helps your liver effectively eliminate toxins on a daily basis.
Within a week of taking Active Liver, I was feeling better, and now I have more energy than I've had in years.
You can find Active Liver online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com or in stores at your local CVS or Meijer grocery.
KFOR.
And at Amazon or newnordicusa.com.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Thanks for hanging out. Hail Varsity. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, Justice Rhody. Reminder that weekend edition tomorrow at 7:45 in the morning. Big thanks to Kobe for popping in, Tiger Shark Diver, Tuck, Captain, hanging out as always. And more of you. Ken, Scott, thank you. Ed, also in, and we'll get ready and do it again tomorrow. KG, of course. So let's wrap up the forecast and hit some NFL. Guys, couple of 3 games that really excited about on Sunday.
You didn't include the Broncos on here.
I didn't. I am starting your quarterback, though, instead of Love.
Good pick.
That's just I'm nervous about it.
Bo Nix legacy game incoming.
Okay. We'll see how brutal it is if I get whacked by the squad I'm facing in fantasy. Detroit, Buffalo. Buffalo still frustrated with how they performed. The mother of all Josh Allen games, 3 touchdown passes, 3 rushing touchdowns, 300 yards, loss. They are at Detroit. Motor City Madmen are on fire. 10-1. Line is 2.5. I think Buffalo bounces back. I think Buffalo gets it done. And give me Buffalo 24-21, the win, and I'll take the points.
I am unfortunately right there with you. I think
you sound very sad about that.
Yeah, because whenever we're in agreement, it doesn't mean good things. I just think
go the other way.
I just think despite the loss last week, Buffalo, I think they feel like it's their time of the season where they start hitting their stride and really playing their best football. Detroit, I wonder about the peaking too early side of this, where they've been playing great football. Can they sustain that a full 17 games? I wonder if they start to slow down, knowing they probably got a playoff spot locked up. Give me Buffalo to win this game outright. I got it at 31-28.
I've watched that Detroit team too much throughout the season. They're in the division that my Packers are in. I just don't think Dan Campbell lets that team take the foot off the gas. I think they win it on another Jake Bates field goal. Give me 35-32 Detroit.
All right, let us move on.
32 is crazy.
Well, they've been putting a lot of points on. It could be a lot of points.
I don't think either team's going to play defense.
How do you get to 32 points?
Because
you miss a field goal, a couple extra points.
Miss a couple extra points. You never know. Tyler
Something
Bass.
like that.
Yeah.
Bucks, Chargers, big one for Tampa. The Fighting Harbaughs almost against Kansas City. I think the Chargers rebound. I'll lay the 3. Give me, used to be San Diego, 28. And give me the Bucks 24. Tight, but it's Harbaugh and company with the cover.
I'm not sure if I should root for the Bucks or not, because the Broncos and Chargers play next Thursday night. That'll be big for wild card seeding if the Broncos get it done on Sunday, which I think they will. But any loss is a good loss for the Broncos when it comes to the Chargers. So give me the Bucks to win this game outright, 21-17.
I just think the Chargers wide receiving core has really figured something out with Quentin Johnson and Josh Palmer, and I think Justin Herbert's going to continue to have another great game against a Bucs team that's been up and down. I like the Chargers in this one, 28-24.
All right, Philly, Pittsburgh, the battle for the Keystone. I think Pittsburgh's going to find a way outright. They are getting 5.5, and they have been able to win low scoring, high scoring, doesn't matter. Give me Pittsburgh to stay hot, 27-24. Win outright against Philly.
Eagles win and cover 31-21.
Eagles win and cover 28-21.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. Hail Varsity Radio, Hail Varsity YouTube channel. Back tomorrow, 7:45 for the weekend edition. Appreciate you tuning in.